Coach Phill here. So this week I was having a conversation with my son, and it's on the topic of fear. So I thought, yes, I'm going to share a video to talk about this overblown illusion that has been made too big by the world because it sells so much. Somebody said something very interesting. The only thing to fear is fear itself because of how it has been blown up. So I'm having a conversation with this young man because we went to a water park, and everybody else was running around, but I noticed that he would run and not go to a certain place that had water pouring from above. So I called him up and said, "Dude, what's the deal?" He said, "I fear." I said, "What do you mean you fear?" He said, "Daddy, I fear." I said, "But do you see all these other kids who are running around and they're going there? Look, your cousins, your brothers, they're all running. And what do you mean you fear?" And I caught myself momentarily getting frustrated with the young man, and I think he kind of read it in my eyes, and he was like, "Daddy, I fear." And then he got all soft on me, and I said, "Okay, I'm just gonna leave him. Maybe he'll grow out of it." But let's just talk about this. Number one, it is just an illusion. It is just something that is there to mess with you. If you think about it, all the things you fear, 99.9% never come to pass. Most importantly, there are either things that are in the past or things that are in the present. You cannot fear something right now if you're present. No. Okay? So it is one of those things. The first thing you must do as you learn, as I'm going to share with you, how to deal or how to overcome fear is, number one, be aware it's an illusion. And number two, it is just there to mess with your confidence. So just be aware. You know what? This is just a situation, a character building situation that I just have to become aware of that is messing with my confidence. So the steps to deal with this, number one, is awareness and perspective. Okay? The question I like to ask is, what's the worst that can happen? Okay? And it's a great question. I always ask, something's going bad, I'm, a little bit of fear. I say, okay, what's the worst that can happen? Okay? If it is not death, then it's not fear anymore. Okay? So take a little bit of a step back and say, okay, I'm just going to ask and be aware of what is it exactly that I'm afraid of, What is it? And when you take that perspective and ask the question, what is the worst that can happen? You'll be surprised. All of a sudden it begins to melt away. Step number two, rationalize. Ask this. It's a great question. Okay, I'm fearful of this. Then what happens if that happens? Okay, I'm fearful of starting a business. Then what will happen after that if you're fearful? Then I'll never live the life of my life. Okay, and then what? And then I'll die miserably. Oh shit. Then you're like, okay, maybe I better do something about it. Okay? Oh, I'm fearful of failing. And then what? And then if I fail, then I'll be ridiculed. And then what? And then ultimately nobody gives a damn. It is just one of those things where you say, you know what, I'm going to accept and release this. And one of the great ways to kill this feeling of fear is to ask the question, and then, and I learned this, I think it was from Brendan or somebody, where I just go through it and say, okay, what is the worst that can happen? And then what? And then what? And then what? Before you know it, it just dissolves. Before you know it, boom, there's no fear anymore. The feeling, the illusion is gone. I get back on the track, and then I do what I have to do. Next idea, force yourself to relax. Now, this is one of those really subtle, powerful, difficult, but very possible things to do. Force yourself to relax, regardless of what it is. I notice when we're doing a firework, the times when there's that split second, the people who really enjoy the breakthroughs and firework, there's that split second where they relax and they walk, comfortably on the fire, and they get there and like, oh my God, I just did it. I'm like, yeah, of course you did it. Why? You force yourself to relax, and then you get the ability to be able to take in whatever it is and think about it rationally. You know what? Actually, it was much easier than I thought. Okay? Next idea, write it down. Whatever the fear is, write it down. Take it out of your brain, put it on paper. There's a powerful, dynamic that happens when you take things from your head and you put it down, and then write it down, and then begin to say, okay, then what? Okay, I'm fearful of this. Okay, if he leaves me, then what? Then I will be lonely for a little while. Then what? Then I will start working myself. Then what? Then I will find somebody better. Then what? Then boom, before you know it is gone. It's not important anymore. So take time, write it down. Next, ladies and gentlemen, be present. This is very, very important. Be present, be alive, be in the moment. when you're present, when you're alive, when you're in the moment, it's practically impossible to be scared. If you're alive and you're not in your head and you're not in the future and in the past and you're present right now, you can deal with anything at any one time. Okay, it's an unbelievable thing. Okay, and then finally, just feel the freaking fear and do it anyway. Somebody said, feel the fear, do it. Just do whatever it is. You'll be surprised. And the mind has the mind. I can say every day, our greatest challenge is to discipline ourselves to conquer this mind up here. This is what is interesting. You come and somebody tells you you're going to walk on fire, which is what we do, which is what we help. It is a metaphor for people to break through fear. So before the first time I mentioned the word fear, I mean the word fire, guys are like, no, coach, you're joking. It's not going to happen, Initially, I usually mention it in the first hour, first half of the day. Then after lunch, I say, by the way, guys, we're just going to light the fire out there. And they're like, oops, oh, sugar. Really, it's going to happen. Okay? Then that little voice kicks into overgear. I don't know what. Oh, my God, you're going to burn yourself. Don't be crazy. How many people do you know who walk on fire? It goes in overdrive. And then we begin to get you in state. We begin to silence that. We begin to get you to change your state. We begin to breathe. We get incantations. We get you to say every day and everywhere. Before you know it, you're breathing. You're feeling good. Then you get to the fire. You relax. Boom. You walk. You get to the other side. And then guess what? That little brain says, you see? It was easy, wasn't it? Hello? It was the same freaking little voice that was telling you earlier that what? You're going to get burnt and whatever. So your job is to what? To shut up, to silence it. And say, you know what? I'm going to feel this fear and do it anyway. Okay? Now, people say, is it good to have fear? Absolutely. I don't know whether it is fear or a little bit of anxiety or just something to keep you on your toes. Of course it is good. That keeps you fresh. That keeps you, keeps you on top of your game. Okay? Knowing that, hey, if I don't do what I have to do, there's certain things that could go wrong. It is possible. However, knowing what you know, knowing that this is 2017 and you're in the Momentum series, you know that you will do whatever it takes. So as usual, whatever you do, live strong, live with passion, and have the audacity to live life on your terms. Until next time, please feel free to share this with somebody else. The button, I was told by some guy, Hassan, that it is, I don't know, down here somewhere. Click on it, subscribe, share with everybody, and together we can make a difference. Most importantly, we can make sure that the next generation is a better generation because we did what we had to do. I love you. Bye-bye.